Do you know what, folks? I'm pretty sure that Hasbro have had a shipping container land on these shores in the United Kingdom, because I have been showered with pre-orders as of late, and the latest one to arrive in the post is this villainous, nasty piece of work. It's the Mr Sinister from the X-Men animated series Marvel Legends line. Okay then, here we go. Here is Mr Sinister, all packaged up and ready to go. I am loving this nostalgic X-Men animated series artwork that they've put in on these Marvel Legends figures here. They look tremendous. Got the little nod to the Marvel Comics range, the fact that it's replicating the old VHS boxes that you used to buy the videos in, and this artwork is absolutely outstanding, so very pleased to see that. And if we look at the side, you'll see this kind of VHS motif continuing, very nostalgic, very reminiscent of the way they used to be, even with the little thumb catch to pull your VHS out. Then on the back, we've got a bit of a character profile, an action shot of the figure, all the legal malarkey, so looking really good there. And this figure here is yet another, just like the Wolverine I've opened up recently, example of the plastic-free packaging approach that Hasbro are taking now with these, which is really outstanding. I fully support and encourage Hasbro to continue doing their bit for the environment and reducing the amount of plastics that I have to throw out or throw in my plastic recycling. I'm in a plastic recycling area. So that's really awesome. I have heard some criticism of this approach from collectors who are looking at getting a better visibility of the figure off the shelf so they can take a look for dodgy paint apps and stuff. But as someone who shops online, that bothers me less. So let's get this bad boy open then. And let's take a look what we got in here. So Mr Sinister is being held in a kind of cardboard little insert. Is there something in the bottom there? Oh, just the paperwork. So let's fold this out here. Pull him through. Oh, his big cloak is through a little slot at the back there. Nice little anti-shoplifting measure, I suspect. So let's pull that through like that. There we go. Bit of cardboard to get rid of. And then he's inside this little bag. And very straightforward, that one. Hey, he's got a bit of heft as Sinister. And there he is. My first villain. Lovely. Great. Right, let's go and have a bit of a pose and a play with this bad boy. And here we are then, folks. Here is Mr Sinister being all, well, sinister. Out the box. I've been playing around with him a little bit. I've been posing him up. Although I say that, I've got some notes on that a little bit later on. But here he is. He's a bit of a bigger, beefier boy, so I've had to zoom out a wee touch to fit him all in, so you're getting a little bit more of my corners and edges in my little lightbox setup here, but that's okay. So let's get into it. Let's have a closer look at the figure. I'm going to follow my usual 3A's review structure. We're going to start with the aesthetic, talk about how he looks, then move into the articulation, and then finish up with the accessories. So let's get into it. Alright, okay then, so Mr Sinister, how does he look? And he's part of the X-Men animated series subline, and he looks like an animated version of the character, which is exactly what I wanted. It's perfect in that respect. I have to admit, the cell shading is a lot more prominent on this figure than we've seen with Wolverine and than we've seen with some of the renders, the digital renders of the upcoming figure releases. If I bring him a little closer, you can really see it. See these dark lines across his shoulders, there around the torso, down the arms, down the legs. It's much more prominent. You can see it very much here in the kind of raised collar at the back where the red goes into the darker grey. So if you're not a fan of the cell shading, then Mr Sinister is going to switch you off a great deal because the cell shading is extremely prominent on the figure. Upon closer inspection, there's lots of really lovely fine detail touches to enjoy about the figure. I'm just focusing in on the face for a second now, for example. The red eyes, his little weird Mr Sinister diamond thing on his forehead, the black lips and the eye paint, the Kiss style eye paint, the little dark patch on the chin there looks really awesome. The smile and the facial expression is just perfectly Sinister. It's just got that absolute, spot on, just how I picture him, both from the comic books and from the cartoon, which is really, really amazing. Although one thing I did want to point out, I don't know if you can see it down there on the neck, if I just sort of move the light a bit more over this way, I've got a little bit of a paint scratch in there. It came out the box like that, which I'm a wee bit disappointed by. Lots of nice texture in the figure as well, like the lines in his body armour. Is it armour? I don't know, or is that just how he looks? I'm not sure. Some lovely creases here where the cape is attached and the shoulder pads. Got nice creases in the wristbands too, and the boots, if I lift him up a bit there. You can see some nice detail in the boots there, which just really gives it some depth. I'm always a big fan when my character figures have got a lot of texture in them. The colours are nice as well. The blue is just right to my eye. It kind of fits my mind's eye vision of what Mr. Sinister blue shade should be. It contrasts nicely with the red trimmings, the belt, the little symbol at the centre of the chest, the little red sweatbands on his arms, and of course with his white skin tone as well. His big signature Mr. Sinister flappy cape thing is certainly a big part of the visual experience as well. You've got the double layer here, which is very accurate to both the comic book and the cartoon. It's got black on the inside and then the matching blue down the back. Kind of reminds me of those, those sort of plasticky door hangy things that your granny used to have on the kitchen door to keep the smell of the cooking out the rest of the house. That's what it reminds me of. But that certainly adds to the visual experience and very comic book and cartoon accurate. Although one little note on the cape, this second layer here is longer than the full length of the figure. So the bottom of the cape, let's just move him back a little bit there, the bottom of the cape is beyond where his feet sit. So it kind of affects his ability to stand naturally sometimes. And I've found that a little bit annoying. No, not just a little bit. I've found it very annoying. So all in all as well, he is a beefier character. They have chosen to go for a larger body sculpt, and I think that's right. He does strike that large, imposing, villainous figure for sure. And while it does add a little bit to the price point, which can be a little bit of a pain jab, it's definitely what you would want in that kind of overall size experience that enhances the way he looks. He just looked really imposing and well, sinister. I don't know how many times I can say it. So that's how he looks. Overall, a decent looking figure for sure. Let's talk a little bit about how he moves and get into the articulation. Starting with the neck then, his head is on a ball joint and there is a neck hinge in there. However, the size of this collar drastically restricts the up. He's a bit better on the down, but even then it's limited. And your side-by-side is obviously also restricted by the collar. And there's no tilt at all. Moving on to the limbs and starting with the arms, you'll find that the design of the figure and the look of the figure is also restricting the movement somewhat as well. So the shoulders, for example, very limited, only go out that far. There's no butterfly joint, or if there is, I can't get a lot of movement out of it. Your shoulder swivel is restricted by these shoulder plates here, and you can get it all the way around, but you have to sort of really bend and warp your shoulder plates, which I'm sure you wouldn't want to do. There is the standard Marvel Legends swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. He's got a good double elbow in there. There's some swivel in the wrist, and then there's also a joint in there to angle it forward and back, but mine's pretty stiff out the box there. On the other hand, we've got this claw here. That's got swivel, but no tilt at all. In the main body of the torso, you've got your classic Marvel Legends ab crunch in there, which gives him some pretty good forward and some fairly decent back. And then there's a swivel in the waist that sits along just underneath the belt there, just above his underpants, that can let you go all the way around. So the articulation is all right. I've certainly found in some of the posing I've been trying to do with him, like some battle action poses with some of my X-Men figures, that the head and the shoulder stuff going on has been a little bit restrictive, and that's kind of basically it. Just finding a kind of dignified, villainously imposing stance, and that's about it. I can't really get him into much action, and that's something that folks should bear in mind with this figure if your aim is to get him into some dioramas or photograph him in a variety of poses. It's very restricted up in this space here. Now then, the third section of any Mod Extra Games and Collectibles action figure review would normally be my third A, accessories. I do aesthetic, articulation, and accessories. However, with Mr. Sinister, what you see is what you get. It's going to be a short segment, this one, because there are no accessories with Mr. Sinister, and frankly, that's a bit of a problem for me. Broadly speaking, with the action figure kind of game at the minute, the accessory selection that is coming with figures, I'm finding is diminishing, and I'm not happy about it. With Mr. Sinister here, there would have been an opportunity, I feel, to have some swappable hands and maybe like some beakers or vials, you know, something that reflects his nefarious genetic stuff that he does as a villain, or a swappable head maybe, or I don't know, just something a little bit more. Now, I get it. He is supposed to just be a big, beefy figure, but the prices are creeping up. And I don't mind paying a little bit more if I'm getting a bit more figure, but I'd like a sprinkle of something else. And I know full well they can do it. I collect G.I. Joe Classified series, and there's loads of great accessories in there. So, yeah, third A, accessories. That's it. Nothing. Now. Zip. Zilch. Nada. Not a single thing with Mr. Sinister. So here we are then. This is how I've had Mr. Sinister posed up on the shelf for the last few days since I unboxed him. Annoying cape issues and all that included. And I have to say that I think, in summary, he's all right. He's okay. He's not blowing me away, and I've generally found that when I've been taking photos or playing with my figures, I've been gravitating to him a bit less than I have been, say, to the Wolverine, the Marvel Legends animated X-Men Wolverine figure that came at roughly the same time. I've just found that some of the kind of shoulder height and head articulation stuff, the cape getting in the way, and the lack of extra goodies and added value has just sort of marred my experience a little bit. But he is a decent display piece. He just doesn't kind of play well if you're looking for some kind of ambitious combat sort of scenes, which is what I was trying to do with my Gambit and Wolverine earlier today. So, not a thumbs down, but not a full-on, yeah, I'd recommend you rush out and get him or anything. If I was given the choice, I would probably lean much more towards the Wolverine than the Mr. Sinister if you're on a limited budget or something, for example. But, yeah, he's alright. He's okay. He looks good on the shelf. He's just not quite fully there for me. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think it's because of the articulation and the cape. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed my review of Mr. Sinister today. Please do share your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed it, then take a moment to give me a lovely thumbs up. It takes just a second for you. See, like that. Boom. Click. Hey. Just a second for you, but it means ever so much for me and lets me know I'm going in the right direction. And if you're not subscribed, I'd super love you. Love you forever if you took the time to subscribe to the channel. It is my dream to reach 100 subscribers so I can have the custom URL. That's all I want in life right now, and you can make my dream come true. You can contribute to that. Don't you want to be a dream maker? I know that you do. Alright folks, well thanks very much for watching. I've been Chris from Mod Extra Games and Collectibles, and hopefully I'll see you around these parts sometime soon. Take it easy.